Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Richie O'Leary, and joined as always, not as always, it's not the right wording, but it is what it is. You're kind of here more often than not at this point. So joined by my co-host, Alec Crowdhamel. Alec, Rutgers got another win, second in a row. Pretty good, man. Not bad. Defeating USC last night, 95-85. There was a lot of scary moments in that second half. There were some scary moments even in that first half, but they ended up prevailing and getting the win. So before I ask you your thoughts, I forgot to do the Bet Online ad read because our podcast is sponsored by Bet Online, is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA to college basketball to the NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Now that we got that out of the way, I completely forgot about that one. That's why Mike gets paid the big bucks to do what he does. As you can tell, he's not here today, very busy with his day job, which is more important. Is it, though? Let's be honest. Regardless, Alec, what do you kind of think about last night? I know your thoughts because I sat right next to you the whole game.
Yes. It was probably one of, if not the best offensive output from the Scarlet Knights this year. Second most points, obviously, behind only the Monmouth game back in November. According to the stat broadcast box score, they averaged 1.4 points per possession. Really efficient offensively. They shot 56% from the floor. They hit 9 threes, and probably most importantly or most surprisingly or whatever, 26 to 28 from the free throw line. And that was usually when you see those kinds of games this year. Dylan Harper has a night where he's like 13 to 14, whatever. Dylan Harper only shot 3 free throws, and Rutgers was still 26 to 28 from the line. Speaking of Dylan Harper, he was awesome again. He was named Naismith National Player of the Week earlier today. He had 25 points, 9 of 13 from the floor, 4 of 8 from 3. He was 5 of 5 from inside the arc. 9 assists, tied for the third most in the game this year, second most or something like that. And then 6 steals, which is a career high and most by a Rutgers player this season. So really impressive game on both ends for Harper, and obviously he was rewarded for his efforts. Ace Bailey wasn't he was a little bit more of a quiet game. He had 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He had a few highlight reel plays. He had a big 3 off a setup from Harper that was huge in Rutgers kind of burying USC or trying to bury USC. He also had that alley-oop at the start of the game. Rutgers finally ran that play for the first time without Cliff Amori. The alley-oop play off the inbounds where they have Ace run it. They get a back screen from Ace. He goes right to the rim, and Jeremiah Williams found him from almost half court. It took him long enough to start running that. Anyways, off the bench, they scored 37 points from their bench, led by JaMychal Davis, who surprisingly was in that closing lineup, especially as USC started to get closer and closer. But he paid off the coaching staff for their trust in him. He is 8 of 8 from the free throw line. He scored Rutgers' last 6 points, all from the charity stripe as well. That was a big surprise for me, and he had a really good game. Really impressed with his free throw shooting and how he's come along. He raised his free throw percentage by 8 points from yesterday alone, hitting 8 of 8 from the charity stripe. Tyson Acuff had 10 points. Had a few big buckets at various points in the game. He also got fouled on a 3, which was pretty big. Made all 3 free throws. And how about Bryce Dortch, who is playing in his 9th career game, scored 9 points, perfect 4 of 4 from the floor, 2 rebounds and 2 blocks in 14 minutes, including 2 pretty big dunks as well. And then also had a 3-point play, so that was pretty big for him. Bryce Dortch, I mean, that was one of the stories of this game. Rutgers, the defense continues to need a little bit of work. Desmond Claude at 30 points, Wesley Yates at 23 points. USC had 48 points in the paint, which is a lot more than I thought. They made that late run. I think it was a 20-9 run over the last 4 minutes to make it a 17-point game, a 6-point game, but ultimately Rutgers held on, and they got their second straight win, and they're starting to find themselves a little bit now. They're starting to find their form and play probably some of their better basketball at the right time.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head on just about everything. 50, 40, 90 game. Last time we've seen that at Rutgers, I don't even know, because I think someone mentioned the Nebraska game a couple years ago, if I recall, but I got to double check on that. I don't remember which one. Someone said 2022, but I just looked that up, and that's not it. So I was trying to find it, but Either way, I mean, still a very impressive performance. Offensively, defensively, like you said, a lot of question marks still. Desmond Claude, former Rutgers target out of high school, someone that fans should kind of be familiar with because he did have them in his final three, I think, before he ended up at Xavier. I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was
Xavier.
Xavier. The rebounding numbers, not great, considering that was probably the worst rebounding team in the conference, or one of the worst.
Yeah, they rank 276th. They're in the bottom 100 at least in the nation, and that's after they had 18 offensive rebounds against Rutgers. So before that, they were even lower.
Yeah. Hell of a performance by Dylan Harper. He continues to prove that he might be the best guard they've ever had at getting to the rim and being able to finish with contact or without contact. His finishing ability at the rim is just incredible. I know that's one of the stats that they look into big time when it comes to producing at that next level, and it kind of speaks volumes for why he's projected number 2 by almost everyone right now. I know we've talked about the season not going as planned, of course. We've talked about Ace's stock dropping a little bit, but Dylan's stock has soared this season. And when healthy, he's proven he can do just about anything and that's where the James Harden comparisons come in. He can play a true point guard and just be a pass first guy. He can play a true shooting guard and score first. Can kind of do it all from that backcourt position, either backcourt position. So Dylan Grant, a little quiet. Lathan Somerville, a little quiet. Better, pretty good second half, I should say. Durkak and Hayes completely out of the rotation pretty much, it seems like, with Dortch out there now. And then Emmanuel Ogbole came back, but not too great. What do you play?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, and I know it says 1 turnover, but technically 2, I guess, so to speak, because it was
he had the
rebound thing.
He had the inbounding violation where he stepped over the line, and then had him and Jermichael Davis had a miscommunication. They both went up for a rebound. It bounced off both their hands and went out of bounds. I think Steve Pikiell said after the game he's only practiced 1 time. He's only practiced once, so he's still getting back to it, which it's kind of amazing. He had a meniscus injury, got surgery, and was originally really out for the season, but now he's back in less than a month. I mean,
yeah,
it's either I'm not sure how that happens, but I mean, it's good to see him back out there, even if it was only for 2 minutes. Also,
a little bit of rack magic there.
Yeah, maybe from your previous point, I think I found the game that they were referring to. It was the 21-22 season, in the beginning of the Big Ten season when Rutgers absolutely smoked Nebraska 93-65 back when they were still
Nebraska
bad. They shot 58% from the floor, 55% from 3, and 93% from the free throw line. They shot 10 of 18 from 3.
What did they score in that game?
93 points.
Damn, so they scored more in this and actually shot slightly worse.
Yeah, although it was funny, in this game, I'm looking at the box score, Ron Harper Jr. went 10 of 10 from the free throw line, Andre Hyatt went 3 of 4, and that was all the free throws that Rutgers had in that game.
Yeah, see, it's kind of insane. And then you get all these free throws yesterday, and it's 92%. But
yeah,
absolutely incredible from the charity stripe. Jermichael Davis continues to impress. He's actually gotten a lot better from his, first 7-8 games where he's averaging 1 to 2 points. Now, he still struggles when it comes to going at the rim, unlike Dylan Harper, who could finish with contact. It seems like anytime there is contact, somehow Jermichael Davis finds a way to miss it. Played better last night, though. Kind of getting into a groove. Tyson Acuff continues to prove that he's probably your most consistent third scorer, but that's not really saying much when no one else on the team besides Dylan and Ace averages double digits. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. They have 3 games left? It's Michigan, Purdue, both away, Q1s, and then a Q3 as of right now in Minnesota. That could change, of course. Even if they win out, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Alec, even if they win out and, say, hypothetically, get to the Big Ten tournament finals, because that's been a big debate among the Discord people today, I don't think they're in. And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Because
also, Minnesota is 92 in the net, which is a lot lower than I thought.
Yeah, for some reason they had a nice little run over the past couple games,
and they were so bad to start.
But didn't they just get ran out the gym by somebody too, like the other day?
I don't. I mean, they have been playing much better, and honestly, Ben Johnson's starting to save his job. But in their most recent game, they lost to Penn State, which is definitely going to put a damper on your net when you're losing to Penn State at this point in the season.
So yeah, they beat Penn State at Penn State, got ran out the gym by Illinois, went to the West Coast, beat USC and UCLA, and then went back home and lost to Penn State. They have an interesting couple games, and I mean, Rutgers hasn't won 3 games in a row since November 11th, 15th, and 20th, where it was St. Peter's, Monmouth, Merrimack. I just, even if they win out, I just still can't see them making it. They have to win that Big Ten tournament, and that's it. That is the only way they're going to get in this tournament. Now, that being said, I think there's a damn good shot they get the Crown tournament in Vegas or the NIT. What do you think is better, though? That's what I keep going back and forth with, because they're kind of competing against each other now.
I feel like they're kind of the same, but also the NIT is much more wide-ranging, where the Crown is only the Big 10, Big East, and Big 12, I believe.
That's just for the top 2 from each conference that doesn't make the tournament. So it's like the top 2 Big 12, the top 2 Big 10, the top 2 Big East that don't make the NCAA tournament get auto bids, and then the rest is at large. They don't have a reason for what determines their at large bids, which is why I think even if Rutgers falters a little bit down the stretch, they can just get in.
So the at-large teams, would those also only be from those? Oh, they can be anyone. All right,
that's
well,
what I believe.
Interesting.
I could be wrong on that, I guess, but that's what
we got read. We got some college basketball crown bracketology from TSB Bracketology, Scarlet Boiler. Let's see if I can find it.
Unless I'm wrong, which I mean, I guess I could be.
It's really, I really don't remember. Let's see if I can find that, because even in his, here it is. He said, I have no idea how they will be selecting and/or seeding teams.
Okay, there you go.
So so
it looks like, grain of salt.
Yeah, exactly. So you got Xavier is a 1 seed from the Big East, Indiana, Big 10, obviously. Kansas State,
so it
Big
is every
12.
conference.
Okay, yeah. So then you got Boise State from the Mountain West. You got Colorado State from the Mountain West.
Mm-hmm.
So other the Mountain West is the only other conference that's represented. So maybe it's those 4. I don't know for sure.
I do know it's the top 2 from those 3 conferences. Is it 4 conferences? Who knows, honestly?
Because I know the big thing is it's like the Fox conferences
that
are competing against the NIT, which is ESPN.
I'm assuming Nevada's in the Mountain West, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see if we can find it real quick. Inaugural operated by Fox Sports, blah, blah, blah. Works at the time we're expected to include only Big East, Big 10, and Big 12 squads, but further the proposal has indicated teams from those 3 conferences impossible should they be selected. It doesn't say. 2 automatic qualifiers from those 3 conferences, as well as 10 at-large teams from the pool of teams that did not qualify for the NCAA tournament. So that could be. There's really no wording on this tournament at all whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a gigantic mystery.
Brand new. It will be at T-Mobile Arena and MGM Grand, so very familiar location. The problem is the dates for me, and that's what really messes everything up. When does it start?
March 31st.
March 31st. So that's going to ruin everything, and that ruins your chances of Dylan and Ace actually playing in it. But it's Fox, and it might be the new tournament better than the NIT, honestly, when it's all said and done. It really depends on how it performs, I guess, in year 1. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Like, if you had the choice, which one would you pick?
Just NIT versus Crown? I mean...
Yeah, like, it's not great.
It's tough. I also think we might see, because this is the first year, I really don't know how this is going to go. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if teams at least tried to opt out, because the NIT is different in that it starts right after Selection Sunday. Like, I'm pretty sure the NIT selection show is like 2 hours after the NCAA selection show, because, watching Rutgers get snubbed 2 years ago and then having to sit on your couch and go to ESPN and watch the NIT selection show was quite the experience. I think we're going to see some opt-outs. At least teams are going to try to opt out, because you're knee-deep in portal season. And
it starts March 24th. So
So how many guys are going to, A, not enter the portal, and B, sit for 2 or 3 weeks and then suit back up in the college basketball crown?
No one. Because no one's going to want to run out there with a team of 8 guys and be like, yeah, hold on, let's see if we could do this. Like, no.
Exactly. And if you're entering the portal, there's no way you are going to get another opportunity to, heaven forbid, potentially get injured as well.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. The whole schedule of that is just a mess. And I get what they're trying to do, because I think it's the day before the Final Four or something like that, where their finals is. So they want to like lead into it. TV wise, I guess it makes sense, because everyone's gonna be hyped about basketball. Everyone's gonna be like fresh off the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and be like, "Oh, this was amazing. We need more basketball. What do we need? What do we need? We need the teams that were nowhere near the tournament to play each other. I don't know. It gives me basketball to watch. So I can't be too mad in April other than the tournament, but at the same time, it's rough. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they play out. Michigan is next, and that is Thursday night,
Yep,
right?
Wednesday at 9. And
Wednesday or
both
Thursday?
the next Thursday. Sorry, Thursday at 9. And the each of the next 2 games against Purdue as well are on Peacock. So have fun with that.
Yay! I love Peacock. It's actually really not that bad. I think a lot of people just complain because they don't know. They don't like streaming services. You don't have to. You have to pay for it.
Yeah, the broadcast quality is actually very good in terms of the actual production and the broadcasters. It's just streaming service that nobody wants to pay for.
Yep. But I mean, what's on there? The Office. I think The Office is on there.
There's a good amount of stuff. You can watch the Olympic, rewatch the. I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to Peacock unless Rutgers is on it. So
that's fair. I don't think it's really that bad, but. All right, Peacock, Thursday night, 9 p.m., late one. That's all we got for the basketball team. There's a guy outside revving his motorcycle for no reason. You can probably hear.
What a cool guy.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway.
Gee, when I lived on Hamilton Street my senior year at Rutgers last year, people do that all the time.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, at 1 a.m, I'm thinking, man, I wish I could be that guy with I took out the muffler in my car. I wish I could be him.
I wish I could, I don't mind it, but he does it it's 10 to 11 at night, and I'm just sitting there watching a pretty good movie. I'm really into the movie. I'm sitting there starting to doze off a little bit, and he just pulls in. I'm like, oh shit, man, come on! Dog gets wild up, and it's like, oh, come on. Anyway,
anyways,
that's it for motorcycle talk and the basketball team talk, sort of. GM. They're going to hire a GM. We've been very adamant about this one for a while. The exact wording from Politi's column today with interim AD Ryan Pisarri. Definitely go check it out if you haven't already. Pretty good column. First time he's talked to the media since I believe was announced as interim. Not a good start, though, when you lose your luggage at the airport. Or forget your luggage, not lose it.
He's just so locked in.
There you go. I personally wouldn't have said that to a journalist, but that's just me. I would have just, nope, not going to tell anyone that I lost my luggage and forgot about it. I didn't lose it, forgot about it. That's even worse. But anyway, he said they are going to hire a GM. I got to find the exact terminology here. Was it general manager? A GM who can create and allocate resources. So we know a lot of programs are doing this. We know, for example, UNC is a big one. That's a big proponent about. That's the reason they're keeping Hubert Davis. He was so against it because he wanted to control everything, but it came to the realization that you just can't anymore. Even Steve Peichel can't do it all on his own. Do assistant coaches help? Yeah, of course they do. But you need someone that can go out and raise NIL funds. Who's that? And not just raise NIL funds and have connections to recruits and staff and manage this roster. All right, we have a couple guards. It's essentially a professional GM of an NBA team. If you follow NBA, NFL, etc. Who do they get? I have no idea in the world. That being said, I'm so afraid of Rutgers doing this hire ass backwards, to be honest with you. I'm so afraid. And I've seen some of the replies on Twitter, and this is not singling out any specific person.
You guys are all useless.
Yeah, essentially. And don't, I've seen a lot of Geo Baker tags, and Geo is very knowledgeable with basketball. He's a trainer on the side. He's just started his own AAU program. But when you see all these other teams hiring NBA execs from, this guy's the associate vice president of the Memphis Grizzlies going to the University of Tennessee, and UNC is going to go hire some guy that's probably has GM experience. Hell, we sat next to a former GM yesterday.
We did.
And John Hollinger. So there's so many names out there, and don't get John Hollinger. He was awful at his job. But
should have told that to him while we were right next to him.
I should have, actually. But he was too busy watching the Pistons-Hawks game on his fucking laptop instead of watching the Rutgers game in front of him. There's better players in that Rutgers game right in front of you than there is in this Pistons and Hawks team. Maybe the only one is Trae Young.
Kay Cunningham, hello?
Oh, fine, yeah.
That's someone that Dylan Harper in the post game yesterday that was saying that he was kind of modeling it, not modeling it, but someone that he's really watched and admired and followed for a while.
Yeah, Dylan will be better. There's also that other guy that was there too. That what was his name? Oh, Tracy McGrady. Yeah, he was there. That's pretty cool. But yeah, no, I just don't want Rutgers to half-ass this. I don't want Rutgers to go out and just hire some guy that's never had experience like being a GM and someone that has never had experience even fundraising. Like you can go an outside the box hire and go hire someone that has crazy fundraising connections, and that would be fine with me because you need NIL, but you need someone out there that has experience working with stuff like this. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know what you do to convince that guy to join Rutgers staff. I'm just so afraid that Pikel's been very close with, or I shouldn't say very close. Pikel's always hired within his own tree for the most part. Now, there's also branches that branch off of that tree. Like Marlon Williamson was a branch off of Brandon Knight's tree, and Brandon Knight was hired by Pikel. So there's connections to all that stuff. But for the most part, like all of his assistants are TJ Thompson, he coached with in the past. Carl Hobbs, he coached with in the past, played under, coached one, I forget. Jay Young coached with in the past. Like it's just a lot of guys that he's been with. With Steve Hain, I think there's a connection to one of the schools that they were at together or coached against each other or something. It's so risky, and I'm just very nervous that you need to get this hire right, and you need to get it right not immediately, but you need to get this hire right this offseason because you're running out of time. Whether people believe it or not, number one, he's coming back next season. But number two, like even like guys like Troy Donovan, who is very well connected, very well plugged in throughout the college basketball sphere, and he's got every single bit of information before it even comes out, is saying Rutgers' coaching spot could be open after next year. Like you have to get this right, and you have to fix this program within the next year. So,
Yeah, I'm very interested where this job could go because, like you said, it has to you kind of have to do a lot of different things, and it could be someone like an assistant coach. I mean, this is looking at an article from CBS Sports over the summer of some different GM hires. Like Syracuse hired a former Knicks scout. Butler hired a guy from the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's see.
All NBA ties that keep people that know how the job works. Like someone said, Miles Johnson. Like stop. Everyone just loves the former players, and it's just so small time thinking. Get a big time NBA exec. That's all I'm begging you to do because that's otherwise you're going to be the laughing stock of basketball, and on top of it, you might be out of a job in a year.
Yeah, I really don't know where because Rutgers really doesn't have that kind of like pro connection where a place like obviously the blue bloods of like Duke, North Carolina, all them they have NBA connections out the wazoo, but that's like Rutgers doesn't really have that with pro, front office connections. Maybe if David Stern was like 50 years younger and still alive today, maybe he could do it. I don't know, but yeah, I really have no idea what direction this could go in because. I don't. The job needs a lot of different roles, so I don't know who would be best to fill them, or where they go in that terms of in terms of that that route. I really don't know.
It's such a tough spot. Like I've looked throughout like every not I should say every. I've looked throughout a good amount of the local teams, I should say. And when I say local, I mean like Northeast, Eastern Coast of NBA teams. And there's just, I don't even know where you go because, like you said, there's a bunch of guys with Jersey ties. Don't get me wrong, but there's no with Rutgers ties. Like the Nets obviously employ a bunch of local guys. The Knicks employ a bunch of local guys. It's just like there's a guy in the Long Island Nets. I forget his name. There's like an assistant GM or something like that. And I think he's from Montclair. He played professionally overseas, and he was like a director of player development or something like that. Like those are the guys you have to go after. Like they know how a front office works. That's what it is essentially now. It's a front office, and you see it with like football too. Like look at the football recruiting department. Like it went from when I first started covering 10 years ago, that there was maybe like 5 to 10 people you needed to know. And now it's exploded to like there's like 30 people in the recruiting department alone, on top of the recruiting assistants, which is probably another 20 to 30. Then the recruiting interns was another 10 to 15. Like it's a front office now. So you need to hire someone that has experience doing this and someone that has ties to the region that can sell the program to people. Who's that guy? I don't know. I have no clue whatsoever. I just need someone that can raise NIL funds and can manage a roster on top of it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
Go
wouldn't
hire like
go.
the AAU coach of the New York Renaissance or something.
Sure, I mean, yeah, either that or
if you
I mean,
if you can, it's not
I
the
would be
worst.
surprised if maybe not Rutgers because again, I don't know where this is going yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of schools try to go like a G League route where they get a guy, whether in a G League front office or in a G League
Hmm.
coaching staff to do that role.
That's what I'm saying. Like Long Island Nets have to have, or what's the Westchester Knicks? Like I've tried to look up like several, and I can't find anyone. Like I don't know. There's no connection specifically to Pikel, or there's some New Jersey, I guess technically, but I don't know. There's got to be a name out there. I obviously you open it up after after the season ends and go from there and see what's what, see who's interested, and then pick out of that list. But I'm just afraid that they might not be a great list, and that's my problem. So,
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
but who's this guy actually? Macchiata, UC Davis, Lakers. No, never mind. But that's really all I got. Anything else before we sign off today? I know women's basketball played yesterday too, and they
Yes,
fought pretty hard against a
they
good
did.
Oregon team.
Yeah, they led 17-14 after the first quarter, then got outscored 20-9 in the second quarter. They got close in the third quarter. They outscored Oregon 18-17, but then got outscored 26-14 in the fourth quarter. So they lost 77-58. Destiny Adams had a double double, 20 points, 10 rebounds. Solid game for her. Um, let's see. So some other solid games. China Cromwell got the start with Iowa City Bay out, also because Oregon is a pretty big team. She had 10
Hmm.
points, 9 rebounds. JoJo Lacey had 10 points with 2 threes. It feels like she's really been finding her groove, getting consistent from beyond the arc. And then Maya Petticourt also 10 points, 2 threes. Let's see. Oregon's star center, Filipina Key. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. 20 points, 25 rebounds. Wow. Very, very impressive.
Solid
Um,
day.
I thought the defense played pretty well. I mean, they held Oregon to 47% shooting, 3 of 16 from beyond the arc. Um, but they did get out rebounded by 11, which helps when you have someone who grabs 25 rebounds. Kim McMillan did not play as she did not travel out west with the team. There's only one game left on Sunday against
Shocked.
Penn State, and they need to win that game, and then I think get some help as well in order to qualify for the Big Ten tournament. Yeah, not
Not
great,
great. No,
not
not
great.
great. Although she did get a vote of confidence from Ryan Pisarri in said article that we mentioned before from Politi. Sounds like she'll probably be back. How much is she going to have to work with? That's the big question mark because NIL revenue sharing is coming. April 7th is the hearing, I believe, with Congress to approve it, essentially. I saw people speculating on, well, number one, they're going to use the full 20 and a half. Huge. Saw people speculating on our Instagram comments saying, yeah, men's basketball gets like 6 mil, football gets 12, and, women's will get a couple mil too. And I'm like, that math don't add up, buddy. I'm
Nope.
sorry. Football, I'll just tell you right now, is going to get like 75% of it at least. They're going to get like 17 mil, if I had to guess. Maybe less, 16 mil. I'll say 17, actually. I'll say 17 mil. I think 2.5 will go to basketball, men's, and then I don't know, half a mil for everyone else. At the end of the day, it's all about generating revenue, and what generates revenue? It's football, and that's going to drive the bus. You're going to get a nice chunk for men's basketball, and I assume women's probably is third in revenue, if I had to guess.
Probably
And I
wrestling
don't
probably not
know.
far behind.
Yeah, wrestling's right there too. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how you split it up. But more importantly, you get scholarships too. That's going to be the big thing. Like they have what for wrestling? 9.5 scholarships right now,
I didn't
something like
realize it
that.
was that few.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not
So
realize
that's
that.
going to make a big jump. I think basketball for men's and women's is going to jump up to 15. Let's hope they can fill all 15 on one side or both sides actually, because Pike will never fill 13. So, um, especially with this year when you're going to run a 10-man rotation, might as well. Um, there's also other stuff. I think baseball and softball get to go like to 30, which is pretty good. They get like full scholarships, and you can use partials now too for football, which is huge. I think basketball as well. So we'll wait and see how all that plays out. That's pretty much all we got. Didn't do the giveaway yet. If you haven't already, put 400 in the comments or submit a Apple Podcast review or a Spotify podcast review. It has to be 5 stars and write 400 and some other comment like Richie's the greatest ever, like or something like that. You know,
Sure. Also, earlier today, YD Collier confirmed that he will have his official visit on June 6th, which I think is the weekend that a lot of the commits are visiting.
Everyone but Dizier right now, but Dizier's quote unquote confirmed but not confirmed. Like I probably should just add him to the list. I just wait for him to tweet it, but I talked to him and that's happening.
So yeah, that'll be the commit official visit weekend, June 6th through the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And then the week before, the May 30th weekend is the big one for all the targets as well. I know you guys talked about that on the last one, or we all talked about it on the last one too.
Yeah, couple interesting ones on there. 4 stars, 3 stars, high 3 stars.
New Futurecast as well earlier today. Yeah, if you want to touch on that as well.
Florida running back Ladarius Pryor. John Garcia, our national recruiting analyst for the Southeast in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, some other state, Mississippi, maybe. I forget. Either way. Submitted a future cast for Ladarius Pryor, the running back out of Florida. I believe he's from the Jacksonville area. I got to double check on that one. Either way, he's a very talented back. He's been very high on Rutgers for a while. He has an official visit for June 13th to Liberty. He also wants to take an official visit to Rutgers. This is an interesting situation. I think John might have jumped the gun a little bit. I know Rutgers likes him. I just don't know how much Rutgers likes him. It feels eerily similar to last year's cycle with Kayvon Mason, who they were very high on, but they felt pretty good with John Forrester at the time. They felt pretty good with Antoine Raymond at the time. Antoine Raymond ends up committing and reclassifying. Like that one kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think enough people know about that story. Because him and his mom just came to campus for an unofficial, and they were like, "Hey, like, our school just closed, Clearwater Academy. Any chance like we can just enroll this summer?" And they're like, 4-star running back wants to enroll now? Yeah, sure. We'll find it. We'll make it room. Like it's okay.
And they did.
So yeah, that worked out really well. What do you have? 400 yards, 500 yards almost.
Something like that.
As a true freshman. So yeah, pretty good.
Also, he's Ladarius Pryor is from Orlando.
Orlando. You're right. I knew that because I just thought of Disney. Every time I hear Orlando, I just think Disney. But yes, so it's an interesting situation. I don't know if they're going to end up taking him or not. We'll wait and see. It probably will come down to official visits because in a similar situation last year, like I was mentioning, they got John Forrester over Kayvon Mason, and they were content with it. John Forrester has a lackluster senior season, and someone down the street didn't have a lackluster senior season in Terrell Mitchell, so they flip-flop there. So I feel like it's going to be a similar situation to Kayvon Mason right now. I wouldn't say for sure like they're going to land Pryor immediately, but I do think they're in a good spot to get Pryor if they decide to push for him. Could they push for him right now? They could, but I think they're going to wait a little bit. So we'll just have to wait and see. But
I think that's all on the news front. We talked basketball. We talked basketball. We talked GM. Talked even a little bit of sprinkle of football recruiting.
That starts a month from today, maybe.
I think around that time. I mean, the beginning of April, around when spring practices start. It's crazy.
Yeah, just
never ends.
I thought football was done, and then you know what the best part is? I think it starts on the 24th or 25th, and it's like, what also starts on the 20th? Oh, the transfer portal for basketball. Oh my god! And then they could be playing like that end of March. If you're not signed up right now, dude, you're nuts because like that end of March this next month is going to be crazy. Between basketball portal, because we know this team is going to be completely revamped, between a GM hiring, between a potential Crown or NIT tournament, between football starting back up too. And we get to see a lot of things this year. Brand new team, new coaching staff, a million different coaches now. So that should be interesting to see how they perform in the spring. Very interested to see how AJ Surace is performing specifically. But yeah, that's pretty much it for, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, like, comment down below, all that other good stuff.
Enter the giveaway.
Enter that 400. Just put it somewhere. But yeah, for me and Alec, that's another episode of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.